fixed cars all his life, but no one knew he was quietly building a fortune. Meet Carlos Ramirez, a small-town mechanic who retired not just with wrenches, but with millions. He's proof that extraordinary wealth is possible even from an average job. Our story begins in a modest auto shop on the outskirts of town. Nothing about the building or its owner stood out. But behind the scenes, Carlos was silently crafting a financial empire. Growing up, Carlos had dreams that went beyond the grease-stained floors of his father's garage. But he also had responsibilities. At 18, he started working at a local garage, earning just enough to cover rent and food. Despite the long hours and heavy lifting, he never complained. There was a fire in his eyes, a determination to build a better future. As the years rolled by, his colleagues came and went, each chasing a different dream. Some found theirs in fast cars or trendy gadgets. Meanwhile, Carlos remained focused on his goal. While others bought flashy cars, motorcycles, or expensive toys, Carlos lived modestly. His colleagues teased him, calling him Penny Pincher or Cheap Charlie. They thought he had no ambition, no desire to enjoy life. Little did they know, he had a different kind of plan. Every payday, while his friends splurged on luxuries, Carlos set aside a portion of his paycheck, a sizable chunk that most people would find hard to save. He diligently stashed this money away, patiently waiting for the right moment to use it. In the early 1990s, personal computers were becoming more common, so Carlos took advantage of the trend. He didn't have much money to start with, but he managed to buy a used PC and learned how to fix them. Soon word spread around town about the mechanic who could fix both cars and computers. Business started picking up, and with it, Carlos's income grew. But he didn't change his ways. He still invested as much as before. His secret? A simple strategy. Spend less. Invest more. For Carlos, frugality wasn't about deprivation. It was about making conscious choices, finding value, and resisting impulsive spending. He believed in investing consistently and staying committed to his goals. Let me show you how Carlos achieved his success. Every month, he invested a portion of his paycheck into low-cost index funds, a strategy that has outperformed most professional investors over the long term. But his approach wasn't without risks. During market downturns, he kept investing as usual, trusting that the market would recover. When faced with layoffs or economic slumps, he didn't panic or change his strategy. But it wasn't just about investing. Carlos had a clear vision of his goals and a plan to achieve them. He regularly reviewed his progress, adjusting his investment strategy as needed. Then came the pivotal moment that changed everything. In his 30s, Carlos made a bold move that set him on the path to financial freedom. He bought his first rental property. It wasn't a luxurious mansion or a prime city apartment. It was a small, run-down house on the edge of town that most investors would overlook. But Carlos saw potential where others saw only flaws. With meticulous care and a DIY spirit, he renovated the house, transforming it into a cozy, livable space. He personally handled the repairs and decorations, pouring his sweat and creativity into the project. When the house was ready, he listed it on the rental market, seeking a reliable tenant who would take good care of his property. Finding the right tenant was crucial for Carlos. He wanted someone responsible and respectful who would make timely rent payments and maintain the property's condition. After carefully screening potential candidates, he found a suitable tenant who met his criteria. The monthly rental income provided a steady cash flow that exceeded the mortgage payments and maintenance costs. With each passing year, Carlos expanded his real estate portfolio, acquiring more properties that he personally fixed up. He followed a strict routine, inspecting each property at least once a month to ensure everything was in order. Even after purchasing additional properties, he continued working as a mechanic, though he reduced his hours to focus more on managing his growing real estate business. Meanwhile, his investments in stocks kept compounding steadily, growing like a snowball rolling down a hill. Carlos was patient and disciplined, allowing his investments to mature without disruption. Over the years, those small investments turned into a financial cushion, providing security for him and his family. And when unexpected expenses arose, he dipped into his investments to cover the costs without hesitation. As his investments grew, so did his confidence. But he never chased get-rich-quick schemes or invested in risky ventures. Instead, he stuck to his strategy, buying and holding quality stocks for the long term. It wasn't just about money for Carlos, it was about freedom, the ability to live life on his own terms without depending on anyone else. His dedication to his craft and his customers also played a role in his success. He treated every customer fairly, offering reasonable prices and standing behind his work. Word of mouth spread about his honesty and reliability, bringing in new customers who became lifelong clients. By the time Carlos reached his 50s, he had over $1 million in net worth. But he didn't consider himself wealthy. He still lived modestly, driving an older model car and wearing simple clothes. To him, wealth was about financial security and freedom, not about flaunting luxury items. While his friends and colleagues enjoyed their retirement, playing golf or traveling, Carlos continued working in his garage. He loved his work and the sense of accomplishment it gave him. Plus, he still had goals to achieve. Carlos had a heart-to-heart talk with his son, sharing his values and financial wisdom. He taught his son about the importance of saving, investing, and living below one's means. Most importantly, he emphasized the power of patience and discipline in achieving financial success. Carlos wanted his son to learn from his example and build a strong financial foundation for the future. However, his son didn't fully appreciate his father's teachings. He felt that working as a mechanic was beneath him and wanted to pursue a different career. Despite this, Carlos respected his son's choices and supported him in his endeavors, hoping that someday he would understand the value of hard work and dedication. As the years passed, Carlos continued working in his garage, fixing cars and investing wisely. He saw many changes in the world around him, but he remained steadfast in his routines and principles. And then the day came when Carlos finally decided to retire. After working as a mechanic for over 40 years, he was ready to step back and enjoy the fruits of his labor. But as he looked back on his journey, he realized that his success wasn't just about money or material possessions. It was about the values he held dear: hard work, integrity, and financial responsibility. He hoped that his story would inspire others to follow their dreams and persevere through challenges. For Carlos, retirement was a new beginning, a chance to pursue his hobbies and spend more time with loved ones. He planned to travel, garden, and volunteer, sharing his skills and knowledge with the community. As Carlos Ramirez drove his modest car down the streets of his hometown, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He was more than just a mechanic. He was a man who had built his success from the ground up through hard work, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of his goals. His story was a testament to the power of perseverance and the rewards of a life well lived.